In today's gospel, Jesus heals a blind man. Who does Jesus heal?
A blind man.
Have you heard the story of Sister Mary Clarence and the blind man? So, one day at the convent, Sister Mary Clarence knocked on the bathroom door where Mother Superior was showering. And she said, Mother Superior, there's a blind man here to see you. No pun intended. There's a blind man here to see you, she said. And Mother Superior barked back, well, let him in. If he's blind, he won't be able to see anything. Right? And Sister Mary Clarence said, I don't think that's a good idea. Mother Superior barked, let him in! So, Sister Mary Clarence led the blind man into the bathroom where Mother Superior was showering in all of her glory. And the blind man said to Mother Superior, when you put on some clothes, ma'am, could you tell me where I should hang these blinds? There are different ways of being blind people. Follow me? There are different ways that people can be blind people. And sometimes blind people can see, and sometimes people who can see can be blind. You follow me? Isn't it true for us as well that there are sometimes when we can be blind? Blind to certain things in our world, blind to certain things in other people, blind to certain things in ourselves. Amen? I'll confess to you, one of the ways that you might suggest that I am a bit blind is in the way that I eat M&Ms. How do you eat M&Ms? I'll tell you how I eat M&Ms. If you give me a bowl of M&Ms, this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to start with the yellow M&Ms and eat all of the yellow M&Ms first. I don't know what it is about yellow M&Ms, but they're bright and I just eat them first. Follow me? And then after that, I'll probably go after the orange and then the green. You follow me? But did you ever notice something about M&Ms? That every M&M, even though it's a different color on the outside, how is it on the inside?
Chocolate.
They're all the same. All of these M&Ms are the same on the inside, even though they're different colors on the outside. Amen? And the beautiful thing about today's first reading is that this reading from the first book of Samuel tells us that God doesn't focus on what's on the outside, what color we are, or how we look. What does God see? God sees what's on the inside. Now that's a challenge for many of us. Amen? Because isn't it true that we often tend to judge books by their covers? And we tend to see a person and we automatically make judgments, even subconsciously. We start judging that person from the first time we see or hear or smell that person. Brothers and sisters, we have to be careful. We do it all the time as a society, right? I don't know about you, but when I go to the supermarket, which fruits and vegetables do you pick? I know which ones I pick, right? And if that apple even has a spot on it, I'll take another apple instead, please. Right? Isn't that how we are? But I learned something from my mother. Because she loves baking banana bread. And she tells me, you know what? If you're going to bake banana bread, you're not choosing this banana. You're choosing this banana. Because this banana, even though it doesn't look as good, this banana is sweeter. Amen? And isn't that kind of how God sees us too? Instead of looking at the appearances, God sees into our hearts. And that's the lesson in today's first reading. When Samuel goes to Jesse's house to choose the next ruler of the people, Samuel is thinking like the rest of us think. And Samuel sees the oldest son and says, that one must be the king. Nope. God doesn't judge people in the same way that we judge people. Today's first reading tells us God doesn't judge by appearances, God judges by what's in the heart. So maybe it's time for us to stop being so superficial as well. Amen? Myself included. Myself who goes after the yellow M&Ms first. Follow me? Maybe it's time for us to see what's on the inside of others and of ourselves. Because as today's responsorial psalm tells us, God shepherds all of us, regardless of who we are, where we come from. God is bringing us all together for that great banquet. And so, in today's second reading, that letter to the Ephesians tells us, you who were once in darkness, you're now children of light. Walk in the light. It's time for you to open your eyes and see. Stop being so blind. In today's gospel, it's the story of Jesus healing a blind man, but the irony of that story, what the author is trying to teach us, is that it's not the blind man who was blind. Follow me? The blind people in the story were the ones who could see, the Pharisees. And why were they blind? Because they were so fixated on their rules. So when Jesus came healing a person, they didn't see that for the good thing that it was. Instead, they judged him. Because what did Jesus do? He dared to heal a person on what day of the week? On the Sabbath, the Lord's Day, the day on which you couldn't do any work, including healing a person. That's just plain crazy. Can I have an amen?
Amen.
That is just plain crazy. And it would be easy for us to point a finger at people in other times and places if it weren't for the fact that there are three fingers pointing back at us. Amen? And so when we fixate on our human-made rules, like thou shalt not eat meat during Lent, find that for me in the Bible. I just sometimes, and don't get me wrong, it's a great Lenten practice if it's indeed a sacrifice, but it's also not in the Bible. It's a rule that someone, some many years ago, in some time and place, made up. It's like kids making up the rules to their games. You follow me? Right? Kids start a game and someone makes up a rule, and then they change up the rules. I didn't mean to be snarky on social media the night before last, but when I saw a decree from a local religious leader saying, I hereby decree that Catholics can eat meat on St. Patrick's Day, even though it's a Friday morning, I'm thinking to myself, this is just crazy. These are human-made rules. This is crazy. They're talking about kids making up rules for their games. Sisters and brothers, it's time for us, I believe, to stop being blind. To take a look at our lives and see how it is that perhaps we've not been able to see others clearly, to see ourselves clearly, to see our world and our God clearly. It's time for us to take off those blindfolds and to start seeing. Today's